One of the things that you're going to find is that in life, there are people who are expressive and they react to conversations. When you're giving a sales presentation and you're rolling price, ideas, concepts, or strategies, sometimes it's their inner voice that's speaking that you hear, and it's not really an objection. So how do you work through this, and why does it matter? This is a fantastic question. I'm Scott Sylvan Bell, coming to you live for HVAC Technician Sales Secrets on a perfect day to talk about sales and business, and a fantastic day to talk about you. I'm coming to you live from Sacramento. So here's what happens is there's different types of personalities that people have in life. There's some people that when you talk to them, they just sit there and they listen. There are some people that when you talk to them, they interact briefly. And then there's some people when you talk to them, they're constantly refreshing information and speaking what they're thinking. And this can be confusing for salespeople if you're not spotting the type of person that you're working with early on and putting them into a profile. So as you're building rapport, one of the things to remember is that you are looking at how does this person communicate? How do they interact? What do they say? What do they do? And when you meet with people and you're building rapport, you're having your conversations and they're quiet, and then they think about something and then they interact and then they say something, okay, that's one type of person. When you have somebody who's constantly talking and answering questions and aren't even there, you should probably know that when you get to your end of your sales presentation, they're going to go, holy smokes, that's a lot of money. Or, man, that's more than I was thinking. Or, I'm really going to have to think about this. What you got to realize is they're not really having a conversation with you to an extent. They're talking to themselves. And sometimes salespeople will confuse us and say it's an objection when it's not. And so as you're working with people, sometimes you're going to have to ignore the statements. So there's been plenty of times where I've made this mistake where I'm dealing with somebody who's expressive, that they're constantly saying what they're thinking. They're constantly correcting you. And they give me an objection, what I think is an objection, like that's a lot of money. They don't realize that they're saying these things. They're thinking it, but they don't realize that they're saying it because that's their personality type. So what you do is you just ignore it and move on. And I know this sounds like, hey, Scott, you're literally telling me to ignore an objection. Yeah, because it's not an objection. It's a verbal thought process. And so sometimes what happens is you give weight to these ideas and concepts and strategies, and they were never meant to be a concern. They were never meant to be an objection. They were never really a problem. It's just a thought. Like as I'm filming this video right now, it's Friday and it's cloudy and the sun is out over there. So if I go, hey, it's Friday, it's cloudy, and the sun's out over there, you're like, what am I supposed to do with this? It's data. It's information. And you may think like, hey, Scott, this sounds like you're being rude. No, you're turning something into an objection that's not really an objection. They're just thinking out loud. And so if you go down the path of like, well, how much money too much is it? They're like, oh, wait a minute. Did I say that? Did I say it's too much? Okay, well, now it's too much money. Oh, I got to think about it. Like there's been plenty of times in my career that I've worked with salespeople that I've said, hey, when somebody says that I got to think about it, just ignore it and go to a close anyway. And there's some people who will I'm not saying all of them, like there's no absolute here, but there's a group of people who don't realize that they're saying, I got to think about this. It's natural process. See, you as a salesperson, you as somebody who's selling something, you have a couple hundred appointments a year. The average consumer buys something big 3 to 5 times, maybe a year. In 1 week, you've already beat that number. In 1 day, you've already beat that number. So you're looking for these patterns. You're looking for where people just talk to talk. And sometimes, just so you know, somebody gives you the, hey, Scott, I got to think about it. I completely understand. It's really easy to get started. I remember I taught a plumber this guy, Nate, cool dude. And Nate, we were in a meeting and he goes, there's no way that I can do this. I go, hey, Nate, like just try it. And so after the meeting, he texts me or calls me and says, hey, Scott, I'm working on this water heater and this guy says I got to think about it or the price is too much. I couldn't remember which one it is. It's been about 15 years. And he goes, yeah, completely understand. Let's get it done anyway. And the guy bought for me without any more objections. Sometimes people are just having a conversation with you and they don't realize it and they don't know it. Don't take advantage of them though, right? Don't lie, don't cheat, don't steal. But be aware that everybody communicates a little bit differently, and sometimes you think that you have an objection, and you really don't. You got 1 of 3 things to do from here. Just 1 of 3. Find the subscribe button, click on it, and every time I send out a video, you'll get an update. 2, hit follow. 3, share this video with a friend. We'll see you soon. Thanks for watching.